everybody.
Hi.
And welcome to the information unit for the Trek the Alps. So really exciting that you guys are interested. My name's Sophia. I'm events and community fundraising lead at French Hospice. And really excited to share this new challenge. We've done a couple of overseas challenges, which they're really important for funding for the hospice. So they're incredible life experiences, but also really great fundraisers. And we, as you probably know, rely on the income from the community, with over 80% of our income coming from public donations. So people like you guys and other people taking on overseas trek. We just had an overseas trek to Jordan. They raised over £50,000. So you guys are absolute superstars for even thinking about coming in and taking on this challenge for our care. So I'm going to introduce you to Sarah from Different Travel, so from the travel company. We've used these guys loads and they're so awesome. So I'll pass you over to Sarah, and Sarah can chat you through what to experience on the Alps trip.
Thank you. Hello, nice to see everybody here. So yeah, I'm here to tell you all about this trek and run through the itinerary, and if you guys frequently ask questions, and then if you guys have got any questions, you can ask me at the end, either as a group, or you can come and chat to me one-on-one at the end if you've got anything particularly you want to talk about. So the trek's taking place next June, which kind of sounds a long way off, but now is the really good time to be signing up and planning, because you have got plenty of time both to do your fundraising, which is the first part of the challenge really, and then of course your own training, whatever fitness training you feel you need to put in to be able to take part. We've left this slide in there since COVID. Obviously, hopefully we're never going to go back to that situation again, but it's just to reassure you that should anything happen to prevent us safely operating the trip, whether that be anything like a natural disaster, political situation, or health outbreak, anything at all, then we're going to follow the advice of the British Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, and if it's not safe to take it, we won't. In which case, you're all going to get your money back. You're not kind of at risk. Don't worry about anything happening that would prevent you from taking part that you won't be covered for. So yeah, just a little bit of a boring but essential slide in there to reassure you. So to summarise then, this trek is actually part of the Tour du Mont Blanc route, which some of you might have heard of. It's a long trail that goes all the way around the mountain, and there's a map coming up that shows you it. If you do the whole route, it's normally 10 to 12 days of walking. We're just doing a small section of it, the kind of highlights, if you like. And the main thing is that in these 3 days of trekking, we are trekking through 3 countries, which is special. We start off in Italy, we go into Switzerland, and then we finish off in France. The trek itself is really varied. Some of it's kind of grassy paths along the valley, some of it's rocky mountain ridges, a lot of steep up and down sections. You're in the Alps after all. The maximum altitude we get to is just over 2,500 metres. So we're not in the realms of high altitude in terms of there being risk of altitude sickness or anything like that. However, it is considerably higher than anything you're going to be training on here in the UK. So you will notice the difference. We go at a slower pace. Those steps become a little bit harder just because we are at slightly higher altitude. The scenery is absolutely spectacular, and hopefully the photos coming up will give you an idea of what to expect. You've got beautiful views of Mont Blanc. There'll be snow up on the higher peaks. There'll be some glaciers. You're going to go through some lovely little villages and enjoy just the culture and the scenery, the wildlife and everything as we go along. It's a little bit of a Google Earth thing here, just giving you an exciting view of Geneva Airport there. That's where we fly into. And then we go to our first base, which is in Italy, Courmayeur. I have to stand back, we were saying earlier, it makes you feel a bit travel sick looking at this. So you've got the Mont Blanc Massif there, and this is the route that we take around the northern part of it there. Finishing off in Chamonix. So this is just a map, which this yellow trail is the entire Tour du Mont Blanc. And we are starting there in Courmayeur and finishing over there in Trek, which is just outside Chamonix. So we're doing part of this northern route with a couple of little transfers along the way so that you're really seeing the highlights. onto the itinerary. We'll be departing on the Friday, the 13th of June next year, and flying to Geneva, which is a fairly short flight. It's a maximum 2-hour flight. And then from Geneva, it's about an hour and a half drive through the Mont Blanc tunnel, which is quite exciting, to get across into Italy, and the first base, which is the town of Courmayeur, which is a lovely, really pretty traditional Italian town. Depending on the flight times, we get there, have a little bit of free time, maybe to just walk around and explore that afternoon. It's nice if we can. The advantage of getting an early flight is that you get a little bit of time to enjoy it when we arrive there, rather than just arriving and going straight to bed. So that evening we'll have a welcome dinner, and that's when you'll meet the guides who are going to be with us on the route, and any final questions about what to pack, what to take, everything like that, they'll be able to answer those questions for you then. And then day 2, we set off to start our trek. So it's a short drive, first of all, to Hanover, and then we start off by going fairly steeply uphill. It's quite a sort of a brutal introduction, as it were. And that first day is the highest point that we're going to reach on the trek. So we go over the Col Ferret at 2,537 metres, which actually is the border between Italy and Switzerland. So you're kind of crossing over the border, and obviously spectacular views all the way. And then we descend into the Swiss part of the Val Ferret, and finishing off that evening in Champetz, which is a pretty little town, and we'll be staying at guest house hotel that first night. So the distances covered, it's about 12 kilometres, but doesn't sound a huge amount, but bearing in mind, in that 12 kilometres, you are going to be ascending 750 metres and descending 800 metres. It is quite a tough day's trek, and on average, we spend between 6 to 7 hours. That is very, very much an average. Some groups it might take 8 to 9 hours, some groups it might only take 5 hours, depends on things like the weather, what the weather's been like beforehand, because that will affect the terrain and what have you. So these are just approximate timings and distances to give you an idea of what to expect. And then the second day of trekking, we actually stay within Switzerland today. We go into the Trient Valley, which is slightly different scenery. You get quite a few pastures and meadows that we're walking through. And then you've got a lot of steep peaks of the Bernese Overland surrounding you. So absolutely beautiful views throughout. We go down and again stay lower down. Tonight's accommodation might be slightly more basic, more of a guest house in the village of Trient. So 14 kilometres, not quite so much ascent to descent, but still a significant amount, which again, average 5 to 6 hours. And we take plenty of time to stop along the way as well, enjoy the scenery, have a nice break for picnic, lunch and what have you. And then the final day of trekking takes us uphill to begin with, and we cross over the border again into France. And that's where you actually start to really enjoy some amazing views of Mont Blanc as we descend. And then we end up in the little village of Tréchamps, which is just outside the town of Chamonix. And we stay there it's quite a basic gîte. This is the one night that you won't be in twin rooms, you'll be in shared accommodation, we'll be in sort of 4-bed, 6-bed, 8-bed type rooms. But it's an absolutely beautiful location. We have a lovely farewell alpine meal that night to celebrate your achievements. Slightly longer day, 7 to 8 hours, 16 kilometres. And again, you can see the 910 ascent, 750 descent. So a slightly longer day to finish off. And then the final day is heading back home. Now, again, depending on the flight times, if we have a later flight, what we'll do is have a little bit of a stop off in Chamonix, which is a beautiful old French mountaineering town. Might be familiar to those of you if you're skiers or what have you, but it's a really beautiful town to have a little bit of time wandering around if we have time before getting you back to Geneva for the flight home. Okay, so that's the itinerary. On to cover some of the more general information, a bit about the climate and conditions. So as you see, very varied terrain, steep ups and downs, there's some grassy valleys, there's some rocky ridges, but it is generally up and down. You're in the mountains, of course it will be. Average altitude is around about the 1,500, but as we discussed, the highest point is 2.5, so it will feel harder at those altitudes, but there's not really any risk of actual altitude sickness. We would hope the temperature in June will be a nice summer's day, mid-20s, but you're in the Alps, you're in the mountains, it could change. So you know, we could have some rain. I think I was saying earlier, I did this, I think it was probably June when I did it, and we did have a thunderstorm one afternoon. These things do happen, so you need to be prepared. During the evenings, it won't be that cold, maybe between sort of 10 to 20, but either way, you're not camping or anything. You've got a nice sort of proper accommodation, proper beds, so you don't need to worry too much about those temperatures. But it's important to have waterproof, windproof jackets with you. You hopefully won't need them, but you might. It's better to be prepared and to have them with you. So the first, as I say, it's kind of a bit of a mixture of accommodation. Normally the first and second night is actually a nice hotel with twin ensuite rooms. Third night is a more basic guest house where there might be, you'll still be in twin and triple rooms, but they will probably be shared bathrooms. And then the final night is more basic, but actually a lot of people say that's their favourite night of all because you're all kind of together in this traditional sheet and it's a really lovely atmosphere. There are obviously, being in Europe, you've got very nice facilities, you've got flushing toilets, you've got hot showers, everything like that, that is a bit of a luxury compared to some of our treks where you're camping in the desert, what have you. For those of you, I think some of you might have done some of the previous ones. So as usual, all the meals are included. Breakfasts tend to be your typical European continent, substantial but continental breakfast. So there'll be plenty of meat, cheese, fruit, bread, tea, coffee, etc. Lunch is one of my favourite parts of the trek. You have the most amazing spread of food that the guides will distribute each morning, and you'll all carry a little bit of it. So if you look at this sort of selection here, one of you will sort of carry a whole load of alpine cheeses, another one will have the baguettes, someone else will have the chocolate. You're all carrying this together, and then when we stop, it will be spread out, and we all have the most beautiful picnic with all local produce, very much based on what the guides have bought locally at the market that morning. A really good spread. And then in the evenings, that's when you have your main meal of the day. So when they will all be at the places where we're staying along the way. Actually, the first night is normally a local restaurant, but then the others will be in the hotels or guest houses where we're staying. Dinner is traditionally alpine, so it's like sort of focused on meat and cheese. Having said that, we're obviously plenty of vegetarians, plenty of vegans come on our trips, as long as we know your dietary requirements. It's not a problem to cater for those, gluten-free, that's another one. Anything like that, just let us know. We should be able to cater for that. Again, being in Europe, it's perfectly safe to drink the water, so you can fill up your water bottles or your camelbacks each morning from the taps. If you want, you can sort of take a hot drink with you during the day. But you'll be responsible for carrying everything you want access to during the day in your backpack, because there won't be many opportunities to stop and buy anything along the way. One night, normally the farewell night, we will have to have a traditional fondue because you can't go to the Alps and not have fondue. So we'll sort of do that as well, which is good fun. How challenging is it? It's always a really difficult question to answer. It's graded moderate to challenging. Now that's sort of in our sort of portfolio of treks. If you sort of at the sort of extreme end of the scale, we've got your Kilimanjaro, Base Camp Everest, which is sort of up there and sort of very challenging. And then, you know, this is sort of moderately challenging. So it's perfectly achievable for somebody of a good level of fitness. The things that sort of make it challenging potentially are the 3 days of consecutive trekking. If it's something you haven't done before, that's something we very much recommend you build your training up to that level. So that it's one thing to be able to go and do a lovely long walk on the Morgan Hills and then get back and not have to worry about your aching legs for a few days. But you need to get to the point that you can get up and do that again and again for 3 days in a row. Obviously, a lot of ascents and descents. The fact that you'll be staying in fairly basic accommodation, some people struggle with that more than others, but really just don't underestimate the importance of training. The fitter you are, the more preparation you put in, the more you'll enjoy it basically when you're out there, the more you'll get out of it. And that is really important, I guess, on any of these challenges. And how should I train? Well, the main thing is to get outside and walk. You can't really replace walking itself as the preparation for these treks. If you're not a regular walker, not a problem. You've got over a year to get yourself up to speed. Just start with short distances. You know, you don't have to go and start by doing something major. You can just do something small and gradually start building it up and up. And I'm sure as a group here, there'll be opportunities for you to do training walks together and support each other along the way, which is really nice. You want to get to that point before you go there that you are, as I mentioned, able to walk consecutive days and also carrying a backpack. Because although you won't be carrying anything overnight, that will get transported between the accommodation for you by vehicle. But the fact that you're carrying everything you need during the day, that can often still weigh 5 to 6 kilos. And if you're not used to walking with that, it can be a bit of a struggle. So it's important that you get a very well-fitting backpack, one that's got good supported, like, hip and chest straps, shoulder straps, and what have you. And you do practice carrying that as you walk as well. Obviously, there's plenty of other activities for general fitness, whether that be running, cycling, playing sports, going to the gym, whatever you enjoy doing. Building up your core and your leg muscles is the most important thing, other than your overall cardiovascular fitness. It's your core and your leg muscles that you will be noticing. So any exercises that you want to do, which you can just do from home, you don't have to go to the gym. But yeah, overall, the fitter you are, the more you'll get out of it. Okay, so a few other questions that generally come up. Communication, pretty good mobile signal should you want to be contactable. Some people like to switch off and not be contactable, which is perfectly fine. There'll be Wi-Fi probably in all of the overnight accommodation if you don't want to use your data or anything on your phone. Currency, euros is the main thing. Although we are in Switzerland for a couple of nights, generally speaking, they're quite happy to accept euros. So it's not necessary to go and get euros and Swiss francs. However, as also increasingly now, you can use your card in most places as well. So chances are you won't actually need much cash at all. You'll be able to, the only things you're going to be buying really are any drinks at your evening meal, any souvenirs. It's not going to be a lot, but you will be able to use your card at the hotels for that. One thing you need to arrange yourself is travel insurance, and that is because it's very dependent on things like your age, any medical conditions that you might have. You might have an annual policy which covers you automatically. This shouldn't really say actually that insurance covers trekking altitude. Obviously, we just check that you are covered up to 2,500 meters. Most insurance policies have 3,500 as a cut-off point, and on this trek we're not going anywhere near that. So as long as it does cover you for trekking up to 3.5, which most policies do, it'll be absolutely fine. If you don't have a policy, then I'm not sure if it's in here or if it's in the bigger information. There's a company that we work with who guarantee cover for all of our trips. You can certainly go down the route of getting a quote from them, but there's 101 companies out there. Just get the right one for you. I would say it's worth looking at travel insurance sooner rather than later. People tend to forget it doesn't just cover you for something happening on the trek, because something was to happen to prevent you from going on the trek. Once you've signed up, you'd be doing all your training, you've raised all your money, and then you fall over and break your leg next March. Travel insurance will kick in, it will reimburse you. So it is worth getting it out as soon as you've invested and spent money on it. Really, you should have your policy in place, just for your own protection. Footwear, you've seen the different terrain that we're encountering here. We really strongly recommend walking boots rather than trainers. Sprained or twisted ankles is the most common injury on these kind of trips, so it is important to have the right level of protection, and obviously make sure they're well worn in. So if you don't already have a comfortable pair of walking boots, that's the first thing to invest in, but you can break them in as you start to do your training walks. We get asked about an age limit. The minimum is 18. We do accept 16, 17 if they're with a parent or guardian. There isn't any upper age limit at all. If you've got a medical condition, can I take part? Chances are, yes, you can. It's important that we know about any medical conditions so that we're able to take care of you should something happen. Certain conditions, there might be a requirement to just check with your GP or consultant. There is a self-medical form part of the booking form. You'll see that when you go onto our booking form. And yeah, if you're sort of ticking yes, effectively, you may get asked for further information depending on what the condition is. Okay, then, so who's right for this challenge? This it really is to just demonstrate anybody. All sorts of people take part for all different reasons on these trips. Obviously, you're primarily doing it to support some riches, which is amazing, but people are also doing it for all sorts of personal reasons. It might be a significant birthday, it might be kids have left home and you're able to do something for yourself. You might just be a really keen trekker that you want to push yourself that extra level. You might want to kickstart a healthier lifestyle. All sorts of different reasons. You end up with a real mixed bag of people that you may not come across in everyday life, but you're all there for the same common goal. It's a really supportive environment. You come together as a team, which is a really nice part of it. And generally speaking, people make friends and carry on that when you get home, don't they? Which is nice. So how much does it all cost? You have got the information here. Hopefully some of you have seen that already. There's two aspects to it. So the first thing you need to do, which is your kind of personal commitment to taking part, is to pay that registration fee, which is £390. You pay that online when you sign up for this trek. Now, just to say, I appreciate that is a lot of money for some people. If you're signing up now, like far enough in advance, you can pay that in instalments. You don't have to pay it in one lump sum. Obviously, your place won't be 100% confirmed until we reach that full amount, but you can, if you're signing up now, pay that in 2 or 3 instalments, should you wish. Just let us know. And then you are pledging to raise a minimum of £2,800 for the hospice. Out of that amount, 80%, so 2,240, has to be raised by March next year. And then the remaining bit can be raised before you go on the trip, so by June. There is also a flexi payment option. Some of you might wish to self-fund your trip costs if you're able to do so. Some people do like to do that. And then there's a reduced sponsorship amount accordingly. Did you want me to run into that?
So
we didn't put it on the slide.
No. So if you wanted to self-fund your trip, you'd pay the £390 registration fee, and then there's the absolute most you'd pay is £1,560. Now that's based on 10 people. Should we have a group of over 10, the cost will be reduced for the self-funders. And if obviously you're choosing to fundraise, more money would then go towards the hospice. So there's that option. So we just kind of done it worst case scenario. So £390 registration fee if you want to pay, well, for both options, and if you wanted to pay for yourself, it's £1,560. But if we get more than 10 people, then it will be £150 less of that, and obviously that includes, like what Sarah said, everything, all your meals, your transfers, everything. Yeah. So yeah, but so there are options, and then if you do choose to self-fund, you haven't got the pressure to raise a certain amount. You can just raise as much as you can, and people always raise way more than they expect to raise, which is awesome. But know that there are 2 options, and there's hopefully something for everybody.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to say obviously what that cost includes. That's pretty much everything we can include. So flights, transport, the accommodation, the food, the guides. Somebody from our company goes out as tour manager and looks after you throughout as well. The only things that it doesn't include are any personal expenses. Because we're staying in hotels rather than camping, there will be opportunities to buy, a beer or a soft drink or a glass of wine with your evening meal, which obviously would be at your own cost. There shouldn't be any necessary vaccinations for this one. Travel insurance we've touched upon. Tipping is obviously entirely optional. This suggested amount is based on what previous groups have felt they wanted to give. Entirely optional, but most people do get, feel very grateful, I guess, for the help and service that the local team provide. Trekking kit and equipment, you don't need a lot, again, because we're not camping or anything. You don't need, pod sleeping bags or anything like that. Really, it's your walking boots, your backpack. Clothing, well, if you're a walker, you've probably got all your clothing you need already. The climate's not going to be vastly different from it is back here, so you're probably unlikely to need anything, too expensive in the kit department. And then obviously you will get an awful lot of support all along the way from Sophia and the team here. From our point of view, we give you all the information about the trip, so a kit list, dossier, training guides, discount vouchers, everything else to sort of help you on your journey. On the trip itself, you have our tour manager who's expedition first aid trained. We have a great team of local guides who are very supportive and look after you on the ground. We will come up closer to departure and do a pre-departure meeting, hopefully with the tour manager if they're able to make it. But that's another opportunity to ask us any questions, to look at the kind of kit you'll need once you're sort of in that frame of mind just before you're going to go. And then obviously, as we say, the fundraising, you're supported by the team.
Absolutely. Full fundraising support from myself, and it's quite lovely because I like to do we'll do a lot of meetups as a group, because this trip is going to be a bespoke hospice trip, so everybody's doing it for the same reasons, for the same cause. So we'll do kind of a first initial meeting at the hospice, get to know everyone, and then we'll plan various kind of little training walks and hikes so you guys can come together. So then by the time we're going, or you guys are going off, then you know each other really well, and you'll definitely know each other really well at the end of the trip. And yeah, like I said, there's full support with that.
that's just an example of a breakdown. As you know, some of you have done this before know that once you start to break, it does sound like a daunting amount, but once you break it down into little sections, it becomes so much more manageable. And these are all like genuine ideas that other people have done, breaking it down into things that are going to work for you, really, depending on you, your lifestyle, your, you know, some people cake sell easy, love to do it. Other people, that would send them into a complete frenzy. So, you know, you've got to do what's right for you. Pub quizzes are great, or casino nights. You can go and do collections at supermarkets. You can do car boot sales, get your local pub to help you out. There's all sorts of different ideas here that obviously, again, the team will be giving you ideas and sort of working out with you what's going to work for you, really, to hit your target.
Yeah, it is often it is often a daunting amount, but everybody always does so much better than they expected, and it's just about breaking it down. Like Sarah said, it's broken down here, and obviously if you choose to just fundraise as much as you can, you don't have that added pressure. But equally, you've just got to really utilise who you know, and you'll be really surprised at how people are willing to help. Often employers as well often offer match funding. Some employers will say any funds that you've raised, they'll match. And know that any idea, if you're struggling with ideas or anything like that, I always send out monthly fundraising ideas to the group. And if you're like, oh, where do I even start setting up a pub quiz or a casino night, that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here to help you with. So that can sometimes be the most daunting bit, but
just one question related to that.
Yeah.
Do you advise setting up a Just Giving account, or is there another way?
Yes. There is, as far as online, that's the easiest way to fundraise, and we do recommend Just Giving opposed to any other platform because their fees are lower and it's just easier. But yeah, mostly because it's easy to share online. It's very easy to say, oh, I went on a training walk today, and if you're on social media, you can post it on there and just kind of plug it on there. But it's also a good way to kind of monitor your progress of your funds, because it will give you, you'll set your total, it'll say you've raised 50%, you've raised X amount. But equally, if you do an event and you raise loads of cash, or you're doing just accepting cash donations, we can give you sponsorship forms. You can pay that into the hospice. You can come and drop it off, and we'll make sure it all gets allocated to your record and to your fundraising target. But yeah,
is there a way of tying the gift aid, tying the Just Giving into St Richard's so that you can claim the gift aid?
Yeah, absolutely. So there'll be a bespoke kind of Just Give a page that I'll send out when people set up. That will actually be a team one, so you'll also be able to see how much you raised as a team, and then you just follow it. It's quite simple to set up, and Just Giving is why we love Just Giving as well, because they actually claim the gift aid for us. So, but that the target amount is without gift aid. Obviously, the gift aid is just a huge bonus.
So how do they charge? What is the fee? How does that work?
Just you guys don't need to worry about that, because it's not like this is the amount you need to raise minus the fees. If the fee is so minimal, it's like 1.5% or something like that. So it's so minimal. You guys don't need to worry about that at all. Yeah.
So
any questions on them?
The Just Giving page that identifies me and it feeds into St Richard's.
Yeah. So so you don't have to worry about anything like that. It will just pay. We get paid by Just Giving every month, so everything that comes in will come to us. It will all go against your record. And also the Just Giving page is a really good way for me to see how you guys are doing as well. So I can touch base and see how you're doing, and you'll probably all be doing really, really well. Yeah, any other questions on fundraising?
I think the next slide is sorry. Yeah, not quite. So the final couple of slides are just how to sign up. So you'll have the link on also St Richard's website. I believe the QR code on the flyer there will take you to this page as well. But this is the bespoke page for this trek, which is on our website. There's a book now button, takes you through to the booking form. Please don't worry about you don't need to have all of that information to hand. The booking form is quite detailed because it asks for things like passport details, insurance details. you don't need to have all of that to hand in order to sign up, because once you've started your form, you'll be able to log back in at any time, so you can go and add those details as and when you get hold of them. All you need is your name, your contact information to make that initial booking. Then you can go back in later on to add that missing information.
Yeah, and send you guys
Really, so yeah.
Yeah, so I'll send you guys the link on how to sign up tomorrow. And if you've obviously got any questions, but does anybody have any questions now that they'd like to ask?
Great, insurance, mountain rescue insurance, is that normally included in the trekking insurance?
Yes, that's it.
Because the costs can be horrendous.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's why you need to know that you've got a policy that covers you for this trekking, and then that will cover should anything be needed. Helicopter rescue, mountain rescue,
That's covered in trekking insurance.
Yeah, so that's an important thing. If you do have an existing like annual policy with your bank account or something like that, just check, because some may not cover you for this. You might have to pay a supplement. Some will cover you, some are very good. But just check, you do need to have that level of cover for trekking in the mountains and any associated rescue that hopefully won't be needed. If it is, we need to know you're covered.
Just so we know, the accommodation, were you saying that there are beds?
Yes.
Not with trucks and lorries.
Not what, sorry?
Not with trucks and lorries.
That must be a different generation.
When we used to go to the mountain huts, it was just a raised bench and mattresses.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're all proper beds. Yeah, so the only time where you're really in that multi-share room is that final night potentially, but they're still proper beds. Yeah, okay.
Is there a maximum number for the group size that can do it?
We probably cap it at 30, wouldn't we? We don't like anything like that because you start to lose sort of, minimum 10, maximum 30.
And if you don't get the minimum, then you don't run it.
Yeah, I mean, if we literally only ended up with 3 or 4 people, we'd obviously have to have a discussion and we could run a bespoke trek for riches. We'd have to look at either joining forces with another hospice or maybe making it an open. I mean, you've had, how many did you have in Jordan? 20?
Well, we had 15.
No, that's right. We had a few pulled out.
And then in Sahara we had about 23.
So that's the sort of number we'd probably be thinking. It's going to be probably around 15 to 20.
Hopefully
That's not going to Sahara.
the Sahara can't survive actually.
The Morocco Sahara. So we go through from Marrakesh, we drive down via Ouarzazate, and then we start trekking from Ouletris, right at the bottom, quite near the border with Algeria.
Mohammed.
I'm not sure about that. Sorry. We go through Segura.
Yes. Which airport do you use in London?
Well, it all depends, and we would look at another airport if there was an option that worked for you guys better. So it very much varies.
It just varies on time.
Yeah.
Obviously our preference would be Birmingham or somewhere closer, but it just depends on, because it's so far in advance, the flight's not available yet. So,
and to be fair, with Geneva, we do have a lot of options to look at.
So
do something that works for you guys.
If you book on, as soon as we have the flight details, we'll share them more with you.
And you go as a group. You provide the transport to the airport.
Yeah, well, I organise a minibus from the hospice, and normally people can leave their cars here and we go all together as a group. And like I said, we hopefully know each other everyone know each other quite well by then.
But if it is London, then I don't see any reason that it wouldn't be Heathrow or Geneva. There'd be no reason Marrakesh, not too bad. We have to go to Gatwick because there are flights from Heathrow to Marrakesh, but Geneva, there's plenty of options. So.
Exciting.
It's a lovely trip. I know I've said it's about all of them, but this one is, you feel like you're in the sound of music. You kind of, up in the mountains, crossing over the different valleys into different countries. It's, it's really done it. I've done it a couple of times,
I take it there's no glacier work involved.
No, you'll see them, but well, less of them than there used to be, unfortunately. But no, you're not actually trekking on them or anything. No. Nothing technical.
Is that Argentia?
Not sure.
If no one's got any other questions, wrap it here. But obviously feel free to ask questions if you wanted to us individually. So if you don't ask it in front of the whole group. And hopefully we'll see some of you guys sign up. So I'll be in touch with you tomorrow with details, reminder how to sign up. We've also recorded it just in case you wanted to look back at everything. I'll send the slides over. You've all got a booklet, and like I said, the details are in there. So if you wanted to be super keen and scan the QR code now. But any questions you think of that you can't think of tonight, feel free to drop me an email and I'll get back to you. But thank you in advance for thinking of taking on this challenge for the hospice. So yeah, thanks guys for coming. If you can get any questions, let us know. Cheers.